a bit crazy right now. Uh, Country after country is closing their border, travel restrictions, quarantines, empty grocery shelves. I have to admit that is a little disconcerting. And we're full-time travelers. We're nomadic. We live in a bus right now. We're traveling Australia. And many have wondered, how has this affected us? Are we, being able to self-isolate? Are we able to help reduce the spread, slow the spread? Or how does it affect our travel plans? Another couple questions. We're part of a FIRE group, which stands for Financial Independent Retire Early. And a lot of people want to know, with the plummet of the stock market and the economy, how the early retirees are doing. So I'd like to address those and maybe some of the fear that is actually natural with a thing like this, and what we are doing about it and what our plans are. So Trent and I are currently on the outskirts of Perth. Our plan this year was to do a circumference of Australia in Little Butte, our bus. It's a Toyota coaster. And we are absolutely loving it. We are loving Australia. And one of the plans we had, because Australia is so big, we didn't know if we could get through it in a year. So we do have a year visa that allows us multiple entry, and if you go out and come back in, then that year starts again. So we had planned in June to maybe do a quick trip up to Bali. I know it sounds exotic, but it's actually the closest and cheapest place to Australia. So we had planned that, but I don't know if that's going to happen now. With the way things are closing, with the travel restrictions, that may not be possible. So we may not have as long in Australia as we thought. But we'll still have a full year, and we can get a lot done in a year. So at this point, we are kind of staying put a little bit on the outskirts of Perth. We had planned to take a break around this time, so it actually works out perfectly. We are trying to help with the self-quarantine. We don't want to be a part of the issue. We do want to help slow the spread, not because we're afraid to get sick. We're both healthy. I don't think we're in an at-risk group, but quarantine helps those who are at risk so that it slows down the spread. And those who are at risk, there's enough room in the hospital for all of them. If they all went in at once, there wouldn't be enough room. So we do feel it is our responsibility to help slow that. So one of the things we've done, we started a TV series before we left the United States in 2016, and we found the last 2 seasons at the library. So we're parked out here in a little free park outside of Perth, and that's keeping us occupied. Plus there's a lot of things I wanted to get done online, and Harvard is offering free classes. So there's lots of free stuff online. If you're stuck at home, take it as an opportunity to get an education class, spend time with the family, and try to make the most of that time, because I know it can be scary to be there, and it can drive you stir crazy a little bit too, to be there in your house for so long, but it will help in the long run. So our plans didn't really answer it quite exactly, because we don't have an exact plan. We just know that it's probably going to change. We're hanging out here for a bit. We will continue on because the rest of Western Australia is pretty isolated just as it is. So we will continue on. I'll continue to write about Australia. We're absolutely loving it. You can follow our blog. You can follow this video. I'm going to alternate. Just telling you about how we're doing. And now I want to talk to you a little bit about what this means to early retiree and the stock market and the economy. So let's talk stocks and early retirement and how that affects us, and portfolio. I know many that are striving towards early retirement or just striving for financial independence want to know how a downturn impacts us. So first of all, the way we have our setup, we have actual, what I call retirement savings, things that you would think of as a 401k, or if you're in Australia, a super. And it's the things that are set aside for the age when most people retire. And that we don't need to touch for another 10 to 15 years. And we did expect that at some point between the time we retired and the time that we needed to use that money, the stocks would take a dip. The way that the stocks were going up and up and up was just unprecedented, and a correction was going to happen. Now this particular correction, I mean, we all know what caused it, and I do think it will recover, maybe not to the inflated place that it was before, but I do think it will recover. So right now we're just holding our ground, we're holding our portfolio and expecting that it will come back up. And one of the things that's very hard is the fear or the emotional reaction when you see them plummet, even if you know it's coming. So about a year ago, we moved our money out from a financial advisor and into our own managed portfolio. And part of me wondered, can I stomach it? Will I be able to ride out the lows without a lot of fear? Will I want to sell? And I went in and looked at our portfolio as the markets fell, and thankfully it didn't bother me. I mean, it was something I expected, and so right now we're not worrying about it. They fell just like everybody else's. I did have a lot though in cash reserves because I did feel like the markets were high, and so that will help us, and maybe I'll buy more once it gets lower. But it really is, nobody can time the market, and nobody can predict what's going to happen in the future. And we could lose it all. I mean, we really could. Anybody could. We could have continued to work these past 4 years and still lose it all. And I'm thankful that we traveled instead. So right now we do have some rental properties and some savings, and we have enough. We will definitely finish out Australia and see where the world and the economy goes. We really don't know, and we're okay with that. So what I'd like to really talk about financially though is the fear related to it. The stocks market is falling because of fear. People are afraid what will happen. Fear makes it drop, and hope and prosperity makes it increase. It's honestly what people are feeling. And how do you do this without fear? And I truly believe that part of reducing fear financially is having a healthy savings. In times of prosperity, in good times, instead of living paycheck to paycheck, if it is at all possible, to save whatever you can for a rainy day. It rains, the car breaks down, the bus breaks down, things happen. But if you can save and get out of debt, every little bit that you cushion yourself between how much debt you owe and how much savings you have, then the fear isn't as great. It breaks my heart to see all these people on social media who are talking about great hardship because of being out of work only 2 weeks. And I know that we all have times where life is like that. I've lived in squalor before. I have had times where I did not have enough for groceries each week. And sometimes that happens. Life happens. But it doesn't always have to be that way. And a lot of people are there because they've chosen to buy everything now and not wait. So I do encourage you, you may not be able to do it right now while things are on hold, but every little bit that you can cushion does reduce the fear, because you know 2 weeks is fine. So that's the portfolio for those in the fire group. We're fine. It didn't affect me as much as I thought it would be, thankfully, and we're riding it out, and who knows what the future may bring. So please click the link below. I'm going to include a link to those free Harvard business classes that I was talking about. I'm also going to include a link to a Choose FI Academy. And what that is, it's an online course you can go through about financial independence. So no matter where you are in your current financial status, there's something to be learned. And it's free. And you're stuck at home right now. Have at it. Take what you can, even if you only learn a little piece. So there's the Choose FI Academy, and I'm also going to have just one small tip about how impactful waiting can be on your personal finances. So click the link. I'll have a few resources that I can find. I might even add some more as I go along. Fun things for the kids to do, free magazines for them, or coloring books that they can download to keep them occupied while you might be trying to work. So stay well, be happy, and let me know if you have any questions.
That's a very good question.
Try both ways.
My God, he's so natural.
Was that right?
Yeah.
Yeah?